I know it's been a while. So today, I want to talk about disorganized attachment style and attachment style. My name is Catherine, the therapist. They call me Catherine, the therapist here because there's several people that have my last name. And so the population I work with, that's what they call me. So today I want to talk about disorganized, avoidant, and ambivalent insecure attachment style. And there is a secure attachment style because you don't have to just come out of those negative labeled attachment styles and think that you're going to be subjecting your children or the people that you get in relationships with, because that is fluid and you as a person can make that change. So let's get to it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit disclosure. My daughter graduated high school, and so we were moving her into the dorms. And as this progression has happened from last year, senior year seems to be really quite stressful for a lot because you're trying to get all your checks in the boxes and boxes on top of each other, and then you're trying to make sure that you have your graduation stuff, and then you did your applications, but then you also got to do all your APs. And my daughter's quite advanced when it comes to subjects. She's driven on her own. She self regulates, manages her schedule. And I'm in my era, we didn't have all these APs where you can take half of your freshman college academics in high school if you're that advanced. So my daughter's quite driven. I think it's a lot of stress. I don't know if I could have personally done it, but that's what she did. And I've never coached her to do it. I'm not one to force her to. This is something she chose to do on her own. And so we got into college. So she's gotten into college, and some of my family. Now, let me tell you about my family. I grew up outside of a native reservations out in Wyoming. And so some of my really good friends are Lakotas. So you got Crow Nation and stuff. So I've always been kind of navigated through a Native American worldview. Done a lot of like intermixing and tribal stuff way back when. And so my family dynamics, my family is quite unique. My father's side, my mother's side too, but my father's side we're going to focus on right now. And so I'm going to disclose it is because there's so many of them. I mean, there's well, let's say over a handful, and their narrative is quite confusing. So that's where I come with the disorganized thought. As young as I can remember, and it could have been a lot to do with that, I had a lot of Native American friends, a lot of shamans, and so I was always, meditating or going out on the prairie, monkeying around. I guess that's what they call it, say. But I had always somebody to reflect on, and I knew from a really young age that there was a lot of confusing statements. Did I have some of them? I took a little bit of probably on my self-esteem as well, because I think everybody does. And as you process that, you will learn that you don't need to own stuff that's not yours. But oftentimes that is what was projected onto us. So let's talk about disorganized. So disorganized attachment style is really where a parent exhibits all three pretty much. So there's the avoidant, and teaches you to be avoidant. That means I don't want any emotional expression, because it's very tasking on the caregiver at times. And then you have the ambivalent, and that's where it's a little confused. So the ambivalence, like, I will give you attention as long as it fits my need. And it can be the most dismissive, but also the most abusive. So ambivalent is on its own little level. A lot of the research that Bowlby would do was an ambivalent would be, I will pay attention and give crying when a parent would drop me off. And then when they'd come and get back, I may not pay attention to you. I may say hi. I may be acting like I'm super upset that you were gone, or I'll ignore you altogether. So it's one of the ones that I look at when I see abusive tactics, especially when they do a power and control of, I will remove my love from you whenever I choose to it. So ambivalent would be more in that realm. And then you have your secure attachment. And that's where you actually express your emotions. You don't dwell in it for a long time, but they're appropriate emotions for the situation at hand. So let's go back to, and this has been something that I've been coaching, but it's also, I'm expressing it to you all because it's something that I've been working on, but the older generation has a little bit more, they hear it, and then it's like trying to practice this new skills is a little bit challenging. And I'm not saying it's bad. It's just be aware that these things happen and that you do not have to take a self-esteem hit on it or devalue yourself or feel that you're insufficient at any point. And that's where I think I have been able to change the narrative or change the family dynamic. So let's for example, she wanted to call because one of these family members, this family members on my dad's side, had given a great contribution for my daughter for her college to give her some play around money, and then some for some books. So she called and I wanted to thank them. And the person on the phone uh, was very gracious and appreciative of the thanks, the gratitude, and wished her the best of luck. Well, then when I got the phone to do get, of course, you have to, it's very proper to say thank you as well, on your behalf, especially if you're a single parent. And that's kind of where I am right now. You know, and then I get well, you need to keep an eye like you've been doing. You can't let even one little slip. You got to watch her because once she starts getting in there and starts dating, getting into the partying, she'll lose all her schedule. She'll drop out of school. That's it. She's done. And then she's dumb as a mud and nobody's going to want her. She's going to be washed up, whatever. And I go, wait, what? Like she's never done that. And anyone that knew her, and I'm actually, that's why I got taken back a little bit because I'm like, you kind of know her. Do you actually see her? Because she's not, she likes quality over quantity, so she doesn't really go out. She never did that in high school. I get some of it would be, but she's also 18, so I was dropping her off because I was hoping not to watch her. I want her to experience life. And then I got that, and I was thinking, well, and it threw me back to some theorists. So there's Bowen, Bowen's theory, the nuclear family emotional support. So this is a nuclear family design. So this took me back to his family dynamics and how they had a nuclear family emotional bank. But they also had a projection. So this seemed like it was more of a self-disclosure, a fear that they had done themselves or that they had exhibited through their own children. And mine was more of it is their internal lack of self-control. Maybe they had done this, and I'm not for sure because I didn't go too far into their family dynamic, or I didn't ask too much. I mean, family, sometimes it's okay to say to just to investigate if it's immediate, if it's going to make a difference. There are some family members, and this is another disclosure, that I have chosen not to continue further in our family relationships until some other interventions come into play, because my wellness is the key most important part of my life. And as you're getting yourself together or choosing not to get together, I don't have to mix with that, because it's my wellness. And I'm not going to force anybody else to change either. But when they said this, I was like, okay, well, you may be more scared because maybe you went off, or maybe one of your children have gone off on the rail, and you're fearing that if you don't keep a hypervigilance over them, and I call them helicopter parents, then that's what's gonna happen. And if you look at Bowen's 8 concepts, the first one is nuclear family emotional support. So it's more of like they're kind of like, whoa, wait, hold on, that's not how our family's supposed to work. You need to keep your emotions in check, and make sure that you keep hypervigilance so they don't lose control, so you don't have to deal with it later. But also, it seems like it's a projection process. So this is more of where the family's projecting their own fallacies, their own fears on you, trying to make you be better for them so they can help cure themselves from their own fear of differentiating. And it could be in a way, kind of a warped way of they never really fully differentiated from their nuclear family dynamic or their emotional banks, that they are using you and projecting all of this onto your fallacy. So they're putting it on my plate pretty much, to help them differentiate, because they never actually fully differentiated from their family. They're still enlisted in it. So then they're trying to keep you enlisted in it as well. Because here's where the mixed emotions went. Because within the same conversation of 5 minutes, then it goes, well, you can't always control her. So you're going to have to let her go. Stop living your life through them. And I was little kind of gasped at that. I was thinking, well, yeah, finally, whew, now we're in agreement. You're wanting me to let them go, which is totally, I'm on board, because you're close enough. You're still in proximity of some support, like, you have your campus police, you have your RAs, you have, your professors. I'm not too far. I mean, I'm a good 30 minutes away, but still, it's within dynamics, but it's a far enough away for you to learn and have some autonomy, some independence. And I'm always about that. Not destruction, but a healthy autonomy. And so, that's where I was like, wait, this is another tactic of, in the same level, it was a projection, and it's another one of their way of self-disclosing their own fallacies, their own fear of, oh, now I'm becoming too power control. And so then they back off. And that is the perfect ambivalent example. It's the perfect one, is within so many minutes, they can flip from hot to cold. And that's kind of where the mixed messages come in. So this is like a disorganized attachment style, because you're mixing both of them. Avoid it altogether, or don't avoid it. Be overbearing. And it invokes an approval of your emotional expression. So me not having any really started causing a big discomfort when they were wanting me to be over hyper vigilant. And then I was like, no, I don't think so. I think that they'll be okay. They'll be okay. And I was counterbalancing all of theirs. I was countering it, saying, no, I won't be doing that. But aren't they 18? Aren't they 18? Wait, what do you mean? You're 18. You can't get any of their information. No, you can't. You can't. And then all of a sudden, that emotional expression, they're like, whoa, then we're going to have to revoke all of it. We can't emotionally express, let her live her life, get away, walk away, just don't even ever speak to her again. And that was the narrative on the other side. So it was both opposing opinions, and there was no middle ground. And strategic therapy pretty much would focus on the here and now, and the immediate. And it sounded like they were in the process of that 20-minute conversation. They were problem solving, going, okay, well, you didn't take the bait before of me giving you that attention of, hey, you need to be there. You need to be there. You need to hyper vigilant, be your helicopter parent there. They're going to go off rails. Give them 1 inch. That's it. They're going to take it. And they knew that I wasn't taking the bite on that. So strategic therapists would be like, okay, they're focusing on, oh, well, we got a problem solved. But in their family dynamics, when it came to differentiation, which was very insecure, and it was probably avoided, they probably avoid in differentiation. They probably had a lot of enmeshment, where we became too bossy, too judgmental about how everybody else within that family dynamic had to behave and orchestrate to keep everybody in line. This also could actually fall in the sibling positioning, especially if you're towards the middle. You became, as generations came up, so there was 10 in this one. So the 10, the oldest, wasn't there when the fifth one was born to try to raise the first one. So the sibling positioning ended up navigating down and down, and the power, control, and the authoritation of the parent child dynamics actually went to the siblings, it sounded like, and not so much the parents. Especially when you get larger and larger families, you end up having siblings raising siblings and not the parents. And so contextual therapists would actually do this as a trust value. Trust versus mistrust is also Erickson's 8 stages. And that's where they were navigating, because they were trying to really make sure that they exerted their power, and then when they didn't take their bite, they didn't get their nails in, and wanted to create another dynamic of fear, because it was their own internal fear that, oh my God, if you do that, then they're going to run amok and they're not going to be able to do it, and you're not going to be able to control it. That was their own internal fear that they were projecting on me, and I wouldn't deal with it. And when I turned it back around saying no, then they reversed their role of no, absolutely not. Well, then stop doing this. And so then it was another power and control that I must have been, if I wasn't fearing that they were going to run amok and I needed to help control it, then I must have been trying to live through it. And that's when they also reverted when I said, nope, that's not how it works. Then I threw out the dialectics of, hey, but where's the facts to that? I've been letting it go. I'm not allowed in there. We're going to get 18. I haven't been involved since she turned 18. She has to do all the paperwork. I could just coach from the back, give suggestions. And then all of a sudden the conversation had to end because then it became overwhelming. And this is how ambivalent, disorganized or attachment style is more of I don't know which way to go. Am I secure today? Am I avoidant today? Or am I going to be a little bit more ambivalent of like attack and back? But this is an ambivalent attachment style when it's one tactic didn't work to get you to invoke an emotional reaction out of you. I want to invoke. I need to approve your emotional expression. You didn't create fear. You weren't becoming over stressed that your daughter was going to run amok and end up in the street. And so then that didn't work. And so now I have to go to the other way of, well, you stop. So then it wasn't an attack on the daughter. It became an attack on me. And then that was not invoking. And so that expression didn't work. So then all of a sudden it was like, well, I'm just not going to talk to you anymore. You obviously don't understand the severity of your decision. And then it became a punishment. So now they're going to remove their love, which is typical ambivalent attachment style. And so now they're going to remove their love, except that I am very secure and that is okay. You can deal with that. I know that my road is that road and she's going to do amazing things with whatever world and life that she wants to do. But I'm not going to navigate on a fear that is not fact. And if it is fact, then we'll deal with the consequences at that moment. Right now, that is not even in fact, not even on the board. And that is strategic. So strategically, I will approach it as a here and now. But this is also families. A lot of people are going to colleges right now, and this is on the front line. People are talking about it. Families are projecting this on there. And this is typically where they have an issue with differentiating and not clearly understanding that it's okay to not express the fear, just let them live. Because most of the times that is never fact-based. It's only internal and it is subjective. This is all internal. And then of course they did one of the 8 concepts of Bowen's therapy is they will cut you off if you do not fall in line with the emotional bank. They need you to do the emotional and you need to play the role play. This is projecting and this is the family dynamics of the nuclear family. And if you do not play into it, the triangulation, then they will cut you off. And that's your punishment. That's also your revoking. They're punishing you. Contextual therapists would say that. Also structural therapists would identify that. But abuse and power would be the same. So that's what I have on here. Wish all these students moving into the colleges, those that are going into high school, I understand where you're coming from. I've watched it, and all the best of luck to all of the parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, siblings, fans, friends, family, all those. Just support the ones that are going on to higher education or training or just going off to be, what if they want to go and be a yoga master and not ever leave the woods? Well, that is their choice. And we should invest, and our fear is our fear and it's not theirs until we make it theirs. So stop putting it on their plate. All right. Until then, peace. Thanks. Have a good one.